Hey, good morning. How y'all doing? It is Redbeard. Let's talk about a book. We are here for a book review. We're going to talk about a poetry book today. This is called Foundlings, and it's by Cindy O'Quinn and Stephanie Ellis. Now, this is found poetry. Didn't know what found poetry was until this book, but I learned what it is with this book. It's a collection of found poetry based on the work of dark poets Linda D. Addison and Alessandro Manzetti. Now, I'm not familiar with either of those authors. I am familiar with at least Linda. I mean, I know who Linda is, but I have not read any of her work. But briefly, found poetry is an act of creation in its own right. Volume. Found poetry is an act of creation in its own right. By taking words already in existence in the works of others, something completely new can be created. This collection was created in tribute to renowned dark poets Linda D. Addison and Alessandro Manzetti. In all instances, we have indicated those poems from which we carved our own. And so, um, I read a poem, contemplated a poem, stirred, stewed, whatever, and came up with something of their own. And I dig that idea. Like I said in like a previous video, it feels simple. I mean, I know it's not simple, but what I mean is it feels that you know that would be a great place to find inspiration, a great place to break the writer's block, so to speak. Read take a poem that you're really inspired by and and manipulate some things, take an idea, build off that idea, force yourself to come up with something from that. I don't know, but it does. I dig the concept of it. So in this book, there it's divided into 5 different sections. In section 1, it's Cindy writing, interpreting it, and in section 2, it's both of them. They work together. And real quick, that's another cool thing about this. Like, I don't know, I mentioned this before as well, but I don't know if Cindy and Stephanie, have met in person. But I know that there's an ocean that separates them, and so I found that kind of cool. That in our day and age, yes, I remember a time before the internet existed. In our day and age, authors that live in completely different countries, different parts of the world can do this sort of thing. I thought that was kind of cool. So anyway, in section 2, Stephanie and Cindy are writing together. In section 3, it's just Stephanie, and then section 4, we've got haikus. They do haikus, and these are, unless I'm mistaken, they are found poetry off the found poetry. So like they compose their poems based off of the other work, and then they got together and did haikus inspired by the poems that were written from the. See what I'm saying? Yeah, and so section 4 is haikus from Cindy O'Quinn, and section 5 is haikus from Stephanie Ellis. Now, I'll be honest with you, I've never been a huge fan of haikus. I'm not a huge fan of anything that puts like word limitations on stuff because it. I don't know what you want to call it. Stupidity, maybe it might be stupidity, a purist or whatever it is. Like I feel that like sometimes it takes I mean you can't define how many words it takes to get the point across or to tell the story you're trying to tell. And I get it, haikus are different, but like I have the same problem with drabbles, and I've talked to Wayne Finland about this, or maybe not talked to him, but mentioned it multiple times that I don't like the idea of being bound to either add this amount of words to this idea or to take away this amount of words from this idea to make it fit into the format. But anyway, so not a huge fan of haikus, but this book, I really like the haikus in them. So I'm going to read a segment from Cindy and a segment from Stephanie, and give you an idea of what's going on here. It's really really dark stuff, although the cover does not really portray that. I mean, the cover's kind of pretty, the birds in the book, but it's some dark stuff. So This one's called Forget. And again, this is by Cindy O'Quinn. I cry shattered ash when I touch your life. Born possessed, allergic to my church roots. Pause. I dig that. Allergic to my church roots. I love all without burning my wrists in red flames. Social network blisters the world and cuts you with sad death. I laugh and you need me. Dreams. I'm sorry. I screwed up and I do that often, but I laugh and you feed me dreams of bitter nothingness. I shall seek love in the broken. I dig that too. I shall seek love in the broken. Okay, so I messed it up and I commented. Let's do it real quick. Forget by Cindy O'Quinn. I cry shattered ash when I touch your life. Born possessed, allergic to my church roots. I love all without burning my wrists in red flames. Social network blisters the world and cuts you with sad death. I laugh and you feed me dreams of bitter nothingness. I shall seek love in the broken. Okay, and the one I chose from Stephanie Ellis, this one is called History Blinks. The carotid sunset crawled into its grave in the underworld of day. Age star dying, artery of life, cut away, ghost shadow. No sun offered to die twice, to breathe useless words on a dying planet. The devil awakening at the noise of misery, the heat of blood, looked. Snake mouth unnoticed, he latched the darkness of his sick harbor, and history blinks. I like that. It's got this apocalyptic feel to it, right? Like, anyway, biblical elements of the sun not coming back to die the second time to save us from, I don't know, from the dying planet, right? From the things we've done to the planet. I mean, that's why I'm not very smart, but that's what I got from that. So look, haikus. I'm gonna give you a couple examples because, like I said, I wasn't really crazy about haikus, but I don't know if I've read like a book complete with just dark haikus, but I'll just give you a couple examples. Waiting for winter, corpses whisper misery, shadows of stories. I think that was Cindy O'Quinn. Let me see if I can find one from Stephanie Ellis. All right, here we go. It's the first one here. It's called Shattered. Born, broken, burning, possessed, dreams in flames, life ash, allergic to touch. So that, wait a second. Yes. So did that sound it sounded familiar to the first poem I read by Cindy O'Quinn. I cry shattered ash when I love all without burning my wrist and reference. So I think that, I mean, I knew this, but I think that I just realized that is, that's found, that's a found haiku based off of the first one by Cindy. Anyway, I enjoyed this book. It was fun. I've read 2 books by Stephanie Ellis. I've read and some short stories, but I've read Paused. I've read Bottled, both by Stephanie Ellis. This was my first experience, I think, with Cindy O'Quinn's work. I need to get more. Because I would tell you that I interact more on like Twitter with Cindy O'Quinn. I mean, just, like, comment, whatever. She puts me in some Follow Friday stuff or whatever. But anyway, so this is Foundlings, Cindy O'Quinn and Stephanie Ellis. I enjoyed it. I gave this book 4 stars. Fun poetry read, short poetry read. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're enjoying all your books, all of them. All of them. As much as I am. If not, you are reading the wrong books.